Hello and welcome to Nationwide. We are glad to have you join us. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Today, Nationwide will be viewed on NTA International, NTA News 24, GoTV, NTA 24 DSTV, NTA 24 Star Times, and on DSTV Channel 10 Lagos. The Federal Executive Council has approved more than 38.2 billion naira for the completion of strategic roads infrastructure projects in parts of the country for enhanced socio-economic development. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola announced this while briefing journalists after the meeting of the council. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that 10.7 million naira has also been approved for the completion of an irrigation project in Sokoto State.
3 memoranda were presented to the Council by the Ministry of Works and Housing seeking approval for the completion of strategic roads projects inherited from the past administrations. Amongst others, the memos relate to cost revision as a result of the ages of the various contracts as well as the prices of goods that have now changed. One of them, the 10-year contract for 13.5-kilometer spur of roads from Onitsha-Owerri Road through Okija, Ihembusi, Afo Ukpo to Ezinifite in Inewi South local government area of Anambra State, now reviewed by 488.9 million naira.
The second one is the 20-kilometer dualization of Yenegua Road Junction to Kulu, to Utuke, and to Bayelsa Palm in Bayelsa State. That contract was awarded in December 2014 on the eve of the tenure of the last administration. It is one of the contracts that we have since reactivated with the Sukuk, but there are some additional works that need to be done that support a revision of the contract by 7.947 billion.
Also approved for revision of the contract sum is the 74-kilometer Nasarawa Local Road project awarded in 2006 but yet to be completed.
This road links the local Weto Bridge, which we inherited and which we have completed. And that local Weto Bridge links Nasarawa to Benue across the river Benue, and also connects to the Uweto to Oshogbedo Road, which we also inherited, which we have completed. So the complete link from Otukpo to Nasarawa ought to be facilitated by this 74-kilometer road. The contractor has struggled with just about 5 kilometers of it since 2006.
30 billion naira is now to be expended towards the completion of the project shared amongst 3 contractors.
What is instructive is that once we finish this last part of the road, it cuts off 3 hours from the journey from Utukpo to Abuja. And this is strategic also for providing prosperity, lifting people out of poverty.
Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu also secured a 10.7 million naira augmentation approval for the completion of the second phase of the Middle Rima Valley Irrigation Project in Goranyo, Sokoto State.
By the time it's completely finished, we're getting hopefully to get a production of 39,000 tons of rice, 195,000 tons of vegetables per annum, and it will generate employment for nothing less than 47,000 people and their families.
The project with a total scope of 4,333 hectares, is part of those prioritized for completion by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources out of the 116 ongoing and abandoned projects inherited by the Buhari presidency. Meanwhile, Information and Culture Minister Lai Muhammad used the opportunity to give an update on the ongoing talks between the federal government and Twitter over the suspension of its services in Nigeria.
The exchanges have been going on, but we need to dot the I's and also cross the T's. But I can assure Nigerians that we're not mindful of the anxiety of Nigerians, and both parties, are working very hard to put a closure on the matter. We're just actually talking about a few more days.
The indefinite suspension of Twitter was effected in Nigeria by the federal government on the 4th of June this year. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
We're not done with Adamu Sambu yet. He still has more. 3 new national commissioners have been sworn in to fill existing vacancies in the Independent National Electoral Commission. INEC President Muhammadu Buhari performed the ceremony before presiding over the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council. The report.
The 3 INEC national commissioners were amongst the 6 Nigerians of unquestionable integrity nominated by President Muhammadu Buhari and confirmed by the Senate after a thorough screening exercise. They are Dr. Baba Bila from Yobe State to represent the Northeast Zone, Professor Abdullahi Abduzuru from Kebbi State for the Northwest Zone, and Professor Sani Muhammad Adam, SAN, from Plateau State to represent the North Central Zone. Founded in 1998 and backed by the 1999 Constitution as amended, INEC has a mission to serve as an independent and effective electoral management body committed to the conduct of free, fair, and credible elections. This is to sustain the nation's democracy and indeed the desired democratic culture. The new national commissioners are not unaware of the high expectations of Nigerians on the commission and therefore promise to live above board in discharging their responsibilities.
We thank God for this opportunity to serve our people, and we want to assure Nigerians that we'll be very honest and sincere in our activities to ensure that all elections we will conduct will be fair, free, and credible.
It's a privilege to be chosen among millions. We intend to work diligently to fulfill the objective of the president to deliver free and fair elections. And we are here to assist the chairman to achieve these laudable objectives, to add value to what the wonderful job that he has been doing, and we hope to maintain that course by the grace of God.
I believe we'll take the electoral system to greater heights by the grace of God. We'll support the chairman so that we deliver to Nigerians an excellent electoral results.
So now that you have the near full complement of your team, what can you assure Nigerians going forward?
Well, we want to assure Nigerians that we'll continue to do our best conscientiously, and to continue to improve the transparency and credibility of elections in Nigeria. The new commissioners that have just been sworn in are bringing with them accumulated intellectual and administrative experience, and I'm confident that they will add value to our work.
The 3 remaining INEC national commissioners will be sworn in at a later date. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has advised the newly sworn-in national commissioners to be careful while dealing with political parties. The advice was given while receiving them officially to the commission. Meanwhile, INEC Chairman also sworn in a resident electoral commissioner for Zamfara State, Professor Saad Ahmed. However, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu expressed dissatisfaction over cases of violence in the Sokoto State constituency by-election.
Most importantly, the device was able to guarantee the credibility of voter accreditation by preventing the incidence of multiple voting or the use of stolen PVCs to vote. All voters were accredited electronically using the BVAS. The use of the incident form was eliminated. Thirdly, there was the age-old problem of thuggery during elections. Our officials were attacked and 5 BVAS devices were snatched by hoodlums.
This experience, the INEC boss says, will be properly checked in the Anambra governorship election. The meeting between the Presidential Committee on Salaries and the Nigerian Medical Association and affiliate unions over the upward review of hazard allowance for health workers has been rescheduled as both parties could not arrive at a conclusion. Minister of Labour and Employment Dr. Chris Ngige disclosed that negotiations have reached 70%. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
The meeting was primarily for negotiations over the upward review of hazard allowance for health workers. Other issues like the industrial action by the National Association of Resident Doctors and other sundry issues resonated, with the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, appealing to striking doctors to reconsider their actions since COVID-19 is still ravaging. Consequently, the meeting went into a technical session and parties came to a conclusion after extensive deliberation.
It's a collective bargaining agreement. Don't forget that we started this discussion in March. In principle, all of us have agreed. We have told them the money the government has budgeted for it, and so we are optimistic. The negotiation has reached 70%.
Let me just say that conversation is on, and the right decisions and the appropriate decision will be made along the line.
One thing you have to take away from this meeting that is lasting this late is to let you know that both NMA, NAD, and government people are aware of the plight that Nigerians are going through to see that they bring normalcy to the health sector. We have adjourned the meeting. We reached we made progress. That is what I will use. We made progress, but because of time, we did not conclude. So we are looking at having another meeting next week.
Dr. Ngige was unequivocal that government has been fair to health workers in terms of remuneration. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
The infrastructural development in the southeast, particularly the second Niger Bridge by President Muhammadu Buhari, has continued to attract encomiums from within and outside the zone. The latest is the accolades by Prince Arthur Eze during a private visit to the president Tuesday night at the presidential villa, Abuja. The businessman urged Nigerians to always preach peace as against hate and draw lessons from countries suffering the effects of war. Chief Eze pledged loyalty and commitment to the unity, peace, and indivisibility of Nigeria, urging President Buhari to stay focused and not be distracted by agitations for separatism rocking some parts of the country. He commended the president on the successes recorded in the northeast, where Boko Haram fighters are surrendering in droves, urging more efforts in the northwest against bandits and other criminals. Prince Eze counseled government to give more opportunities to local outfits like the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Corporation to print election ballot papers, sensitive security documents, certificates, local, state, and federal government revenue and treasury receipts, passports, and others, since it had the capacity to do so. President Buhari thanked Prince Eze for visiting and for his good wishes for the country and government at all times. West African leaders will meet in the Ghanaian capital Thursday to discuss Guinea's transition back to constitutional rule after a September 5th coup. Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko Bochwe told journalists that the Economic Community of West African States which had already threatened to impose sanctions on Guinea, is holding a second summit after an elite army unit overthrew President Alpha Condé. 7 heads of state from the region will convene in Accra to share the expectation of a civilian-led transition and discuss the timeline within which they would want that to happen. Condé, who remains in detention, was deposed less than a year. He secured a controversial third term in office. The bloc has asked for his unconditional release. The junta has, however, begun a week-long consultation with political, religious, and business leaders towards the formation of a transition government. The dialogue, which began with a meeting with leaders of the main political parties on Tuesday, is expected to lay out the framework for a promised government of national unity that would lead Guinea back to constitutional order. In November this year, world leaders will converge on Glasgow to make concrete commitments to reduce carbon emissions and impacts of climate change. West African negotiators to the climate conference COP26 are therefore aligning the region's unique perspectives to gain favorable outcomes, especially in the areas of carbon markets and climate financing. Onenye Fineface has more. Reports of this in our bulletin subsequently. We beg your pardon. OPEC General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi Barkindo has applauded the significant role by Venezuela in birthing and sustaining the organization. Mohamed Barkindo, who is on a working visit to Venezuela, says in the 61 years existence of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, efforts through the historic Declaration of Cooperation responded to new developments in the energy industry brought on with the dawning of a new millennium. This, he says, included addressing environmental issues, broadening the concept of economic development to embrace the key component of stability, and at the same time placing a heavy stress on eradicating energy poverty. OPEC, he says, will continue writing victorious history in humanity's petroleum and economic life, promoting efforts to strengthen and preserve the path towards stability of the new economy post-COVID-19 pandemic. Senate has commenced legislative activities in the chambers with the passage of 3 bills seeking to establish health institutions. Following the consideration of the report of its Committee on Health, the legislators passed the Federal University of Medical and Environmental Sciences INEC Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele, for the promotion of teaching and research in medical and environmental sciences. Federal University Lafia Teaching Hospital Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Umaru Tanko Almakura, and the University Teaching Hospitals Reconstitution of Bill Board. Senate has sworn in Jarigwe Agom Jarigwe of the PDP for Cross Rivers North Senatorial District. He replaces Senator Stephen Ode, also of the PDP, who was removed by the court. The Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, says 2021-2022 parliamentary session will prioritize bills on national security. In his first formal address to the House members after recess, he noted this is the time for the convergence of best efforts to articulate a political, economic, military, and policing strategy to address manifestations and root causes of emerging threats. The Ninth House, it says, will act as required to address statutory deficiencies that limit the ability of security agencies to respond effectively to the myriads of insecurity, and reaffirmed commitment to defeat those who have imposed on Nigeria and on ending carnage, putting citizens in grief. The Speaker also read 3 presidential communications transmitting to the House the Small Arms and Light Weapons Bill, the Explosives Bill, and the External Borrowing Plan for 2018 to 2021. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Committee on Customs and Excise has advised the Nigeria Customs Service to cut its cargo clearance process to promote ease of doing business in the country. This came up at an interactive meeting between the committee and leadership of the service. Dayo Ogunshola reports.
It is the first day of resumption at the National Assembly after the annual recess, but despite the suspension of business of the day at the plenary, in honor of the departed member of the House, the importance of issues pertaining to the economy demands this interaction.
This meeting today is to put an end to the cumbersome transfer process of the containers at the mother ports to bonded terminals and dry ports.
Members of the committee explained that allegations from terminal operators and investigation conducted suggest that laid-down procedures for cargo clearance are cumbersome.
You don't need the document to be moving from one table to the other if you have an automated system that is online. Take Form M, for instance. You used to have about 6 copies physical that were going, but because the system has been automated, only one entry goes in and one output.
In reality, what we have the CSC, the DC revenue, the technical supervisor, the OC bond, the GED, and the escort. And I've told you why this thing exists, this SITS exists.
Of all the over almost 200 member nations of WCO, only 14 were adjusted to have simplified clearance procedure, and Nigerian Customs happened to be one of it.
The committee, while demanding the service shortens the processes, called for a 3-month grace period to allow settlement of outstanding duties. From the National Assembly, Dayo Bunshola, NTA News.
Federal government has launched a 4-year national employment plan for youths as part of its national development goals in empowering the younger generation. Olayinka Ojo will tell us more.
Challenges young people face globally is unemployment and underemployment. And based on this, recent data from the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the rate of jobless youth has risen to 33.5% from 27.1%. This means that 1 in every 3 youths between 15 and 34 years that is able and willing to work is unemployed. It is to address this that the federal government is unveiling the Nigerian Youth Employment Action Plan 2021 to 2024.
Youth inclusion is about skilled human capital, social and economic stability, a vibrant and healthy labor force, which will also engender political stability, national growth and development.
Eniola Cole, like many young Nigerians, is advocating effective use of data in achieving this.
When you have tech platforms developed, you can easily track whoever, wherever, and see how they're doing, especially when it comes to being able to monitor and evaluate the success.
For development partners, utilization of the plan and leveraging the opportunities provided will ensure the creation of more jobs.
One viable means of addressing these problems is to empower youth.
The effective implementation of this plan will provide more decent jobs for young Nigerians. In Abuja, Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
The Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation rate, fell to 17.01% in August. This was contained in the latest data released by the National Bureau of Statistics. According to the latest CPI report, the report is 0.37% points lower than the 17.38% recorded in July this year. This is the 5th consecutive month that the country's inflation rate will be trending downward since March this year. Inflation dropped from 18.17% in March to 18.12% in April, before dropping further to 17.93%, 17.75%, and 17.38% in the months of May, June, and July. Month-on-month basis, the headline index increased by 1.02% in August 2021, adding that this is 0.09% rate higher than the 0.93% recorded in July 2021. We now go over to join my colleague in Lagos for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Lydia. Lagos State Government has signed a historic memorandum of understanding with development partners to facilitate green bond framework that will aid the transition of the state to a greener and sustainable economy in line with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Musa Toliat has details.
Gases
Carbon monoxide emissions and several other environmentally degrading practices have made Lagos State susceptible to ecological disasters as climate change continues to put the world on the edge. For a state that is not unmindful of the effects of climate change, commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals is non-negotiable. Funding in excess of what Lagos State currently generates is therefore required to actualize the lofty Sustainable Development Goals. This informed the involvement of the financial sector to play a vital role in accelerating the local market's ability to provide green lending as an alternative source of funding for financing eligible green projects and assets in Lagos State.
The Green Bond Framework Development Program is a critical first step towards creating a viable financing option for future green and sustainable projects, opening the door to advance adoption of innovative new technology, financing of projects that provide green jobs, and promoting economic and climate resilience is certainly the way to go.
The green bond issuance is supported by the British government and key players in the financial sector of the economy.
And this is an example, Mr. Governor, of how Lagos State is implementing and realizing ways in which to make that vision true.
The implementation of this MOU and the impact thereof will ensure that Lagos State continues to set itself apart, and it will continue to support the state's development aspirations and highlight its sustainability efforts at the global green and sustainable finance ecosystem.
Lagos State is the first in the country to embrace the green financing opportunity to resolve environmental and infrastructural gap across the metropolis. In Lagos, Musa Tolian, NTA News.
The House Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions has advocated adequate funding and utilization of the Nigerian Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research jetty for commercial use so as to make the institute self-sufficient. Chairman of the committee, Munir Baba Dan Agundi, stated this during the committee's visit to the institute as part of its oversight function. KNDA DBC reports.
By members of the House Committee was to have first-hand knowledge on the activities of the Nigerian Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research, implementation of the 2020 appropriation budget, and the level of compliance with the Procurement Act. The Executive Director of the Institute, Professor Sule Abiodun, intimated the committee on the mandate, challenges, and some achievements recorded by the Institute. Worthy of mention is the rehabilitation of the abandoned jetty, which the Executive Director hinted had been fixed. This significant milestone did not go unnoticed by the committee, who did not waste time to inspect the jetty.
We are happy to report that there is considerable improvement in their infrastructure and the facilities for them to research on.
This jetty is going to be useful. We're going to use it to bath, and then we are also going to construct, like behind you now, you will find out that there's an area we have earmarked for them to rehabilitate in order for us to be repairing our boat. And if we do that, that is big money.
That we are keeping to our mandate, development of blue economy in support of this government agricultural policy.
The committee further assured the Institute of its continuous support for the Institute to carry out its functions. In Lagos, Kende Adebisi, NTA News.
And our next point of call is Maiduguri, and Abubakar is standing by, but after this break. Just stay with us.
Glad to have you back this evening. Let's now continue with Nationwide from NTA Maiduguri Zonal Network Center. And we are beginning with security matters. Theater Commander, Joint Task Force, Northeast, Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa says the military is currently addressing Boko Haram ideology through special psychology operation to ensure all repentant terrorists are free from the sect's teachings. The theater commander stated this during a meeting with members of Building Resilience Against Violent Extremism, Insurgency and Terrorism at the command's headquarters, Maiduguri. Memuna Garba completes the story.
The interface between Theater Commander Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa, and members of Building Resilience Against Violent Extremism Insurgency and Terrorism Brevet was to discuss modalities on how the organization will support the military in restoring lasting peace to the region, especially now with the recent surrender of repentant terrorists. Theater Commander Operation Had-in-Kai Major General Christopher Musa said the military is not relenting in ensuring that the terrorists continue to surrender, stressing that ending the insurgency is a collective responsibility of all.
Stakeholders to take this surrendering exercise as part of what they understand, as part of what they want, and what they see towards the progress towards peace.
Coordinator General of Brevet, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, said their visit was to further show solidarity to the military over the recent successes recorded and to also collaborate with them in the non-kinetic approach in ending the insecurity.
It's a strategic collaboration to help with the non-kinetic approaches. You know, this thing has to do with carrot and stick. The military has a mandate to use the stick, but organizations like Brevet and many others should be able to, come up with homegrown solutions of non-kinetic way of reaching out to those who are yet to surrender.
Some members of the organization, Abuja and Mohammed Bulama, suggested the need for engagement of clerics in addressing the root causes of the crisis. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
And still talking security, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Borno State Command, has paraded criminal suspects, including a minor for vandalization, impersonation, diversion of petroleum products, and illegal possession of hard drugs and dangerous weapons. NSCDC Commandant Musa Farouk paraded the suspects at the command's headquarters in Maiduguri. Here again is Maimuna Garba with the rest of the story.
Considering the rate at which crimes are being committed in the society, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Borno State Command is intensifying efforts in reducing crimes in the society, hence arrested suspects and recovered items. According to NSCDC State Commandant Musa Farouk, the suspects were arrested at different locations within the state capital. He said one Abdullahi Musa, a truck driver, was arrested for diverting 15,000 liters of PMS meant to be offloaded at Bamus filling station, while another suspect, Mustafa Mohammed, was apprehended for illegal possession of armored cable suspected to have been vandalized from a government-owned facility.
One moment, Aruna, a male 19 years of Fori General Area Maiduguri, was arrested with a military camouflage inner vest. He claimed that his army friend gave it to him because he has passion to become a soldier.
Commandant Farouk, personnel of the command have caught 6 suspects dealing with drugs, which include marijuana, tramadol, and Exol tabs, among others. The suspects have been handed over to NDLEA for further interrogations. While reiterating commitment of the command to rid the state of crime, Commandant Musa Farouk called on the citizenry to cooperate with NSCDC towards exposing criminals in the society. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
And those are the latest stories at this time from Maiduguri. Lydia in Abuja has the next set of reports for us on Nationwide. So, Lydia.
Thank you indeed. Kaduna State Police Command has launched a search operation for the rescue of Emir of Bungudu, Alhaji Hassan Atahiru, and other travelers abducted along Abuja-Kaduna Highway. Haruna Mohammed will tell us more.
Kaduna-Abuja Highway has for some time now been safe until Tuesday attack on travelers by suspected gunmen who kidnapped the Emir of Bungudu, Zamfara State, along with yet to be ascertained number of persons. Spokesperson for the Kaduna State Police Command, ASP Muhammad Jalige, says security operatives were dispatched to restore normalcy, but an officer paid the supreme price.
The Commissioner of Police, Kaduna State Police Command, has ordered for immediate deployment of more police personnel comprising of Operation Puff Adder 1 and 2, mobile police, and other conventional police officers to go into the bush and make sure the kidnapped victims are rescued unhurt.
He calls on motorists plying the road not to be deterred by the setback, as the command is rejigging the security deployment to strengthen the existing structure aimed at forestalling reoccurrence. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Imo State government has pledged commitment to partnering the Nigerian Air Force in its fight against insecurity in the southeast region. Governor Hope Uzodinma made this known when he received a delegation from the Nigerian Air Force Ground Training Command Enugu in Owerri. Bright Ebocha reports.
The delegation from the Nigerian Air Force Ground Training Command Enugu, led by Air Officer Commanding Air Vice Marshal Frank Opara, are in Imo State to seek possible ways of collaboration with the government. Governor Hope Uzodinma, who received the team, notes that his administration and the Southeast in general has been plagued with security issues and appreciates the roles played by the Nigerian Air Force in stemming the tide.
We need sufficient presence of Nigerian Air Force in Imo State. If there is any other department you can bring, be rest assured that we will have available land to give to you, to allocate to you, to establish facilities that will not only serve Nigerian Air Force, but will also serve the people of Imo State.
Leader of the delegation, Air Officer Commanding Ground Training Command Enugu, Air Vice Marshal Frank Opara, acknowledges the effort of the Imo State government in maintenance of peace in the region.
I assure you that as a service, we continue to render our selfless efforts in guaranteeing a peaceful Nigeria.
The Nigerian Air Force Ground Training Command Enugu emerged as an offshoot of a restructuring exercise positioned to enhance effective and timely response to insecurity in the country. In Owerri, Bright Ebocha, NTA News.
Still talking security, Zamfara state government says security operatives are doing great in the renewed commitment to achieving lasting peace in all parts of the state. Jamil Ibrahim tells us more.
The recent rescue of the 75 kidnapped students of Government Day Secondary School Kaya in Marado local government area of Zamfara state and the reported drastic reduction in the spate of armed banditry and kidnapping across the 14 local government areas of the state are believed to be the clear manifestations of the positive impact of the new security measures rolled out by the government. Zamfara State Commissioner for Information Ibrahim Dosara, who gave an update on the situation, says the bandits are being subdued in their various enclaves, which paves way for the continuous rescue of more kidnapped victims.
A lot of bandits are being neutralized by the security, and our neighbors are also giving us cooperation. For instance, Katsina State has shut down the 13 local governments neighboring Zamfara State.
Dosara, however, stressed the need for the deployment of more security personnel to the state with a view to consolidating on the successes achieved so far. The return of many internally displaced persons to their villages is another indication of relative peace in the rural communities.
We are in collaboration with the security agencies, and we got clearance before we decided to move them. We have provided them with cash as well as food items, provided the vehicles for them to go back to their destinations.
As public confidence is being restored by the new development, Zamfara state government enjoins law-abiding citizens to continue to bear out the security measures put in place, thereby supporting the renewed commitment to achieving lasting peace and tranquility in all parts of the state. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
You're still on to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Our next up is Benin, and Ogochukuka is waiting with more reports.
Thank you, Lydia. Welcome to Benin. Relief may soon come the way of motorists and commuters plying the Owo-Ifon Benin Federal Highway as the Federal Ministry of Works takes steps to commence repairs on the road. Kayode Olorundare accompanied engineers from the ministry on an assessment tour, reports that the highway is impassable for motorists.
The Federal Highway, which is the link road between the southwest and south-south of the country, caved in at Omi Alafa in Ose local government area of Ondo State due to heavy rains of the past weeks.
Temporary works have been carried out to allow easy flow of traffic, but that's a temporary, like I said, a temporary arrangement. We have carried out full assessment of the location and come up with a permanent solution, permanent works that will be carried out to prevent such occurrence in future.
Motorists say the long queue of vehicles is nightmare to travelers and called for urgent government assistance.
This road very bad. Also kidnapper. Now so they disturb us every day by day.
Officials of the Federal Ministry of Works promised that the road will be worked on from Omialafa in Oselu government area of Ondo State. Kayode Olorundare, NTA News.
And now our Professor of International and Financial Economics, Hassan Oaikenan, is advocating the need for concerted efforts by government and policymakers to reverse the undesirable imbalance between non-oil exports and non-oil imports. This, he says, can be achieved if the country galvanizes the risk sector as well as articulates and implements policies geared towards making the Nigerian economy competitive. This is the view he expressed in an inaugural lecture, 254th in the series of the University of Benin. Udwakobong Archibald reports.
The inaugural lecture with the theme Nigeria and Economic Globalization, a benefiting player or a contented loser, x-rayed Nigeria's economic engagement with the rest of the world and its commitment based on key indicators. Professor Haikena, who particularly relied on electricity consumption, GDP growth rate, inflation rate, exchange rate, ease of doing business, corruption perception index, maternal and infant mortality rate to compare the economic performance of Nigeria and South Africa, deduced that in terms of competitiveness in the international economic arena, Nigeria's economy is lagging. He also believes political considerations have supplanted economic rationality in Nigeria, which have brought about consequences and the need to reverse the trend.
There is need to reverse the dwindled fortunes of the power sector. The deficit in our infrastructural facilities are critical to the challenges of the economy. And once the leadership is sincere and committed to reversing the undesirable state, then we can then be on the right track, to getting the economy on the sound footing.
The Vice Chancellor, University of Benin, Professor Lilian Salami, acknowledged the academic prowess of the inaugural lecturer and solicited more cooperation to take the university to greater heights. In Benin, Udwakobong Achibong, NTA News.
It's time for a break, and thereafter, Amina will be coming up from Kaduna with more reports.
Kaduna. The federal government says it is committed in addressing critical ecological challenges across the country to forestall further environment degradation. This was the message as the Ecological Fund Office facilitates the handing over of sites to contractors for the execution of various erosion and flood control projects in Jigawa State. Awal Muhammad Kazauri has more.
Jigawa State is one of the states with ecological problems such as erosion that continue to damage residential roads and farmlands. Babaldu in Burnunkudu is among the areas that attracted federal government attention through the constituency projects identified by the National Assembly member representing the area. The Permanent Secretary Ecological Fund Office, represented by Director in the office Suleiman Takuma, flagged up the projects in two local governments of Buji and Burnunkudu that make up the constituency.
They should be grateful and they should thank God. And like the President has said, he doesn't want any part of this country to be left out either because of political or religion or tribal reasons. So we believe he's been doing it around, Ecological Fund has been going around, and Jigawa State should be lucky to be part of this particular one now.
I want to sincerely thank the President for approving this request, and I want to also thank the Governor for his kind support.
Community leaders also appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for his timely intervention to address the environmental challenges. From Duse, Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Lydia in Abuja for more stories.
Thank you, Amina. The National Open University of Nigeria has taken sensitization campaign on cholera to neighboring community. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
Following the outbreak of cholera in some communities, the National Open University of Nigeria, now as part of its social responsibility, is educating people on preventive measures. Gosak Pine community in FCT, where they visited with a sensitization program tagged Cholera, Stop the Scourge.
One thing is key.
Cholera, the scourge cannot be stopped by dirty water and safe sanitation.
We felt as a faculty, we should not only be teaching and doing research, we should also engage the members of the community so that they can benefit from the university.
Our motto is just to promote cleaner environment for good health.
I want to premise that those that are not able to attend this program, the message we got across them.
The villagers are pleased with the exercise, which they believe will make a difference. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA.